Yes. Well, first of all, welcome everybody, and excuse us, we don't speak Japanese, so we will hold this keynote in English. Yes. Yes, Plone. Plone has been around for a very long time already, and we think it will be around for yet another longer time. Just to remind you of how long ago that was when the World Cup football was in Japan. That was around the time when Plone 1.0 reached its completion. And there wasn't even something called Firefox. We were still using Netscape and things like that. Or if you were unlucky, you had a brand new computer with XP on it. And Internet Explorer 6, which we have only gotten rid of just now. Yes. But we should also mention, yeah, it's hard to. Some people have been working on Plone for a very long time, and two of those people are actually here in that room also, Retsu and Manabu, who have been running a Plone user group here for more than 10 years, and that is incredibly impressive and very pleasing to hear. So if you haven't been there and you live around Tokyo, come around there, it's probably fun and interesting. So, no. One thing that strikes me when I look back over the history of Plone, I've been involved in the community quite a long while, is that people have changed. From the original people who founded it, they are not around as much in the community anymore. Alexander Limi, Alan Runyon still is. He still pops up at conferences and is a very pleasant person to be with. But what has remained is the vision around it. Plone was never meant to be just technology for being the latest, coolest kid on the block. It was always meant as a solution for real problems that real people face. Try to do elegant, try to do it in a way that is sustainable, try to do it in a way that will keep your site also available in a couple of years. And not be like, now you are very new, but in a few months you can throw everything away because there is some cooler thing coming along and you cannot upgrade anyway. So Plone has always been about this long-term vision and about that it's not so much the technology, it is the thinking behind it, it's the community behind it. And that vision has always remained central over the years. And yes, these are the core values that we hold very dear in the Plone Foundation. It is to have quality in the code, to have everything tested so that we know that it's good. So we keep your investment in current sites. We have always provided an upgrade path. Okay, there was one time when it was a bit rocky, but usually it has been remarkably easy, and there have been sites. I have one site running myself which has been upgraded continuously from Plone 0.99. So that has always been a very strong point. Usability, stability, and it can be used in a variety of settings. I work in my day job for a non-profit organization, and we often have very small sites, only 50 users on it for an intranet. In Bangladesh or somewhere else, but it can also scale to really, really large sites. We know of intranets with multiple 100,000 to even millions of people, and also of very high traffic public websites. So it scales really well. Yeah, ideas. We try to generate ideas in the Plone community, and some ideas take a little bit longer to mature, to get a good taste, like a good whiskey, like Yamazaki. You need to have them rest a bit, think about them again. Sometimes there is a bit of it's like a clock. You have like a pendulum that swings. When Plone 2 was around, everything was done directly through the web. And at that time, that was revolutionary. The ZMI, for those of you who still use that a lot, That was quite revolutionary. You could do everything through the web. It was great, but it also led to sites that were difficult to maintain and difficult to replicate and difficult to school new users in. So in Plone 3 and Plone 4, it got all more focused on like develop on the file system, proper development practices, do put stuff in GitHub or Subversion at the time. But sometimes we have lost a bit of that power to use or to change Plone through the web, and now we're getting that back again. So sometimes ideas go from one side to the other before they go and find the right middle ground. There's also sometimes we have come up with ideas that were ahead of the time. There are times when ideas are just ahead of time. There was an idea called Deco, which was a great idea. It was a very good concept, just the technology was not there. The ideas behind it are still being, they are being fulfilled right now, but at that time it was too radical, too revolutionary. The browser could not keep up. There was no way you could have an editor to properly edit a deco type, and only now, 3 or 4 or 5 years later, I think we are seeing that in production. You will see it later.
And that's largely because Internet Explorer has come a long way.
Yes, basically Internet Explorer 6 has died, so now we can do nice stuff again. So, where does the Plone community get this vision? We don't just, they don't come out of thin air. Ideas always come out of the collaboration between people. That's the only way that good ideas come. Bad ideas come from one person, good ideas come from a group of persons. So you need to talk to each other to get those ideas. And how do we talk? Well, we talk online a lot, on IRC. Nowadays we're using community.plone.org a lot, which is a Discord site. We are talking in the development of add-ons. Add-ons are a way to test new ideas before they go into core. Sometimes they shouldn't go into the core, but sometimes we have add-ons that are first tried and tested in an add-on because it moves at a much faster pace. And you can try it, and when it's really finished and you say like, yes, this is something that everybody needs, it can go into core. So in the development, you get the discussion between the developers. And of course we have a process called PLIPs. Anybody familiar with Python will know PIPs, and we have PLIPs, which are the Plone improvement proposals. And they are, anybody can basically ask for one and say like, I have a proposal, this is what the problem that it should solve, this is the risk that is attached to it, this is the gain that we would get from it, and here is my proposed implementation. But that doesn't automatically mean it gets accepted. It gets discussed a lot, and the discussion is mostly in the framework team. Plone has a framework team that is a group of people that come together. They hold meetings every 2 weeks. Yes, they are spread over various continents, and they discuss online on Plone improvement proposals, and they decide which of those are ready enough. Is the code quality good enough? Are the tests there? Is the documentation there? Is the user interface acceptable? And when that is the case, the PLIP gets accepted, and then it can go into a new release. So it is a way where we start in a very free-form discussion, and gradually we try to distill the best ideas or a good implementation, and once they are accepted, they can go into the next version. But nothing, I mean, it's great that we have all the modern communication tools, that we can use IRC and Hangouts, and so especially for a community that is as spread out as Plone. We have developers in at least 5 continents. At one time we had one in Alaska, or in Antarctica, but she moved back. She was only on a temporary mission there. So now I think we're back to 5 continents, but still dealing with the time zones. But after all, nothing beats talking in real life, face to face, like we're doing here today. So we do that, for instance, in sprints. If you've never been to a sprint, you should come. Sprints are really important. We'll talk about a little bit more about that later.
Come tomorrow.
Yes, come tomorrow. You have an excellent opportunity to come to see a real sprint. Of course, we have conferences. We have regional conferences. Now is the first one in Asia. We're very proud and very happy that this is happening. And we have the yearly conference every year that is in different parts of the world. This year it will be in Bucharest. That will also come later. And we also now and again hold strategic summits. The last one before this year was in 2008 in the Googleplex in California. And this year the time was ripe again for it, so we had one in Sorrento. And in Sorrento you really discover that Plone is much more than software. It's basically the community. We get together, we become good friends, family and children come along, and you talk about Plone, the ideas behind it, the community, and how to make that stronger. And these strategic summits, they don't come out of thin air. It is more like, it's the culmination of ideas that have been playing in people's minds for a long time, but there is no better way to actually settle the differences than to sit together around a lovely pool and talk together the whole day. So there are quite a few things that we talked about that were not so much related to Plone 5, but going further. And I will quickly mention a few of those. First one is backend consolidation. That has to do with ZOAP and the CMF. Over the years, that has grown from layers to layers to layers, especially the CMF is sort of like, it is a lot of layers. If you look at our dependency graph, it is about as complicated as the Tokyo subway map. And we want to see over the next few years if we can try to condense that into something that is more manageable, that is more approachable to new developers. If we can develop some kind of API in between, or a way that, because it's very hard if you want to get into that level at the moment to start doing Plone if you have no knowledge. So we need to find a way to make that more approachable and more attractive to new developers. Then there is the ever fight between the front-end frameworks. If you close your eyes, a new one has been invented. So we decided that for now we can actually start creating a RESTful API, a JSON API. So at this moment in time, we don't have to choose between React.js and what's the other one? Angular. Because, well, in about 6 months' time, one of them will be gone and will be replaced by something else. Plus, at the moment, everybody mainly has an opinion about them, but there hasn't been much real data, like experience. And if we have a JSON API in place first, people can start experimenting. We can have parallel implementations. People can make an Angular front end to Plone and a React.js front end to Plone, and then we can actually have some data, like which one performs better in which situation, which is easier for new people to program in. At this moment, it is mainly, nobody has any real experience. There have been some pilot projects, but we need more data. So we decided to postpone that in a way that we can have more parallel implementations and get some real information. One area that is important as a community is the development of Plone.com, which is the sort of like marketing or the end-user facing site of Plone. That has been soft launched for now, so it's online, but it's still open for discussion and open for improvement, but you can go visit it. And the work is being done on a new Plone.org, which will focus much more on the community. Every developer, every translator, every designer who wants to will get their own profile. You can see your GitHub contributions. You can also see if you answered questions on Stack Overflow or if you helped people in other ways. So we want to sort of give people a profile and give them like badges and karma points, not only for developing, but also for translating, for answering on IRC, for doing all the things that make a community worthwhile. And Plone.org should launch this summer. We're working very hard on it. We've also been talking a lot about diversity, how to increase the number of underrepresented groups in our community. That can be women and girls, but it can also mean people from regions where we haven't heard a lot from. So we want to try to improve that already at the next conference by maybe trying to see if we can have scholarships, if we can learn from some of the good ideas from Django Girls, if we can have scholarships for people from really poor areas of the world. So we made a conscious decision that we will try to do our best to improve the diversity within the community. We have historically struggled with marketing as Plone. As you all are aware of, people like Drupal are a lot better at marketing. That is mainly because Plone is a truly open community. There is no dominant company like Drupal has. It has one company which basically runs the show and a few others that get to feed on the scraps. There's quite a bit of scraps, so there's quite a few people to feed, but we have no dominant structure like that. So that makes it hard to come with one coherent marketing message. But we are making progress now with a more open marketing team that comes with new ideas how to make also marketing relevant to different markets, like non-profits, like universities, but also that will take into account more cultural differences, because what works as a marketing strategy in the US probably won't work in Asia or in Europe. You need localized marketing messages and like targeted groups. And yeah, the best way we can come up with was like, well, we work really well with teams and not with sort of like absolute leaders who dictate. Teams have been our strength, so let's have an open marketing team where people can join. And the first meetings have been held and they have published their results. You can see them. And if you are good at marketing or if you would like to help, you are very much invited to help. And we have massively improved the communication within the community. I don't know if any of you know the monthly Plone newsletter? No? You should. You do. Yes, you should totally get on that mailing list. You get a lovely crafted email from Christina McNeil, who is the head of the lead of the communication team. And she, once a month, she sends out an email which will tell you everything that is happening in the world of Plone. And it's lovely crafted, it looks beautiful. You can find the link to link up on the front page of the current Plone.org. So it's a really good idea to get yourself informed. But yeah, those were things that are happening or are for further in the future, but you've all been waiting also to see the features of Plone 5. So let's get on that.
Okay. Is this loud enough? May I switch?
Yes.
Thank you. This one, yes, much louder. So yes, Plone 5 is coming soon. And I just wanted to go over a few of the things we're making changes for, the things we're changing for Plone 5. The first one is really the design and customization aspects. So has anyone used Diazo? We introduced it in Plone 4.2, I believe. It's basically a new way for us to do theming, where we take you can take a static HTML page, HTML and CSS, and map portions of the Plone site into that. So say, take the logo and put it here, take the menu and put it here. And so we're really buying into that in Plone 5. Yes, so what we're doing is really cleaning up the HTML. All the templates are getting redone to remove, make it a much more semantic HTML. We're removing the base tag, which has caused problems for everyone. All of the DL and DT elements that we use from the portlets. So it's a much more HTML5 semantic structure. We're providing much better selectors so that you can use with Diazo. Diazo uses basic CSS or XSLT selectors, XPath selectors. But we are making sure that we're making that as easy as possible to use with the new templates. There will be no built-in grid system. Plone 4 came with deco.gs, which was a custom grid system that we came up with, and it was quickly outdated. So Plone won't enforce that. We do use a grid system in our base theme, but that is something that you can, if you want to use Foundation or Bootstrap or something, you can use that yourself without Plone interfering with that. We are so I said we are simplifying the templates. We're also introducing Chameleon, which is a new rendering engine. It's been out for a while. It's been very well tested, and it's showing about a 20% increase in pages are rendering about 20% faster. But it also has some really interesting little changes. So your existing templates will work, but so if this is what an existing template looks like, we've all seen the tile attributes, the tile content parts there. But what we can do instead is actually use this this methodology just to make it a lot cleaner, so we don't have to use the tile attributes. We can just say title and stick the variable in there.
Yeah, it looks cleaner and it's a lot faster. It's really 20%. All your sites get 20% faster for free.
Yes. So yes, we're moving our core templates to use this. It should be a lot easier to read, a lot easier to learn as well. And like Paul said, a lot faster. The new theme that's coming in is called Barceloneta. It's from
Albert Casado.
Yes. So it's all based in CSS3 and less. So if you want to go on to the next one. There we go. So this is the new base theme for Plone. We wanted something a lot cleaner and modern. And yes, so we made sure that it's responsive, made sure that it's accessible. We have ARIA roles throughout the system now. And because it's built on Diazo, you can actually customize it through the Plone UI. So you can go in and make changes to the code through Plone. Now you don't have to go into the file system or into the ZMI to make those changes. We're also exposing some of the variables for the theme through the new resource registries. So does anyone remember was it base properties?
Base properties
that lived in Portal
in
Skins?
the old days, where you could change the colors without having to know CSS, or you could change like the most important properties. This is like the 2015 version of that.
Yes, definitely. So we're exposing variables that live in our less files through here, and they will recompile through the web and are immediately updated. And the really nice thing is that your custom themes or your add-ons can inject variables into this, so that if you're installing add-ons, they can expose things through here that you can just make quick changes. The other thing you may have noticed is our new toolbar. So this is replacing the green edit bar that we had and the global tools. So everything now lives in this one bar. It's been made to be accessible. It's responsive as well. It has several different states. You can expand it to show the text. You can place it along the top. And it does collapse down to just that icon if you'd like. But this basically moves all of the CMS elements into one location so that you know where to find them. And it does a very good job of staying out of the theme. So there's a very good separation between the toolbar and the theme, so you don't have to worry about accidentally making changes to that as you're designing your site. Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I was trying to remember what I was going to talk about here. So we're trying to make managing your content a lot easier. If you want to move on to the next one.
Yes.
So we are integrating a new version of multilingual support. Plone has been around forever, but it's very outdated and it didn't work. It only worked with archetypes, not the new dexterity content type framework we're using. So we're now introducing a new, it's called Plone App Multilingual, which will handle the multilingual support in both archetypes and dexterity.
Yes, so there is an automatic upgrade from Plone if you currently have it in your site, but yeah, Plone App Multilingual is way better, and it will deal with all your new content types, and it will be right. It's not even an add-on anymore. It's out of the box. If you download Plone 5, it's in there, so you can immediately start making multilingual sites.
Yes. We made dramatic improvements to our text editor. We've been using TinyMCE, and it's been a bit behind on releases recently. We're catching up now, and we've reworked it so that we're much better able to keep it current. So this is the new TinyMCE. So you can see the menus have display the styles in line, which makes it a lot easier. There are new image and link menus. So let's see. There we go. So there's a new image menu that allows us, we can search through the entire site to find an image and insert it there. Or we can actually drag and drop as well and just pull something straight off the desktop and drop it into the editor. And it works very nicely. This also works very well on mobile, and it works in Internet Explorer, which was a big issue we've had.
And one of the great features of this is that we're actually staying really close to the standard TinyMCE now, which makes you can integrate every plugin that is available for TinyMCE. Some of them are really good. Some of them will check your text for text quality. Like, is it easy to read? And so it goes much further than spell check. It is actually a check like your sentences are way too long. And you can also have accessibility checks, and you can enforce them. If you are working for a government or a university, you can say, no, you cannot insert a picture without an alt tag, because that is required to make it pass accessibility tests. So you as a site administrator can set policies to make sure that your content will actually be accessible, and we will fulfill all the guidelines that your organization or your government has set for it. So you have a much better level of control of what content can be put on your website, and people are actually helped how to fill it in.
So we made improvements to some of our other form elements as well. So this is the new tagging field. So it allows you to do live search of existing tags. You can add and remove them through here. You can reorder them very easily. There's also a new related content menu. This is, you may have seen it in the, when we were selecting an image in TinyMCE, but it allows you to browse and search through the site and add things very quickly. And once again, they can be removed or reordered directly just by dragging and dropping. The biggest, my favorite UI change has been the new folder content